Welcome, welcome. We're back on the live stream after months and months and months. You know what I mean? It's going to be a good time. But I thought today we actually have Abuela coming over this morning to help out. So just in case I couldn't do a Friday stream, guys, if you had any questions about the course or if you just want to talk about some stocks today with me, we're going to talk about what's going on in the market right now. As I do actually have some time to slowly sit down and talk about things, it should be a good time. So I think yesterday's video, if you really wanted just a recap, was very, very simple, right? I like to break things down, break things down, break things down, and then I try at the end of the video to be like, well, if you ignore all of that information, you were like, hey, what's the important thing to know for tomorrow? Then you would just go like, okay, well, if I don't want the market, if I say this market's going to crash, how would I be wrong about that? Well, and that's why I think the end of yesterday's YouTube video was very, very good because it just says, hey, if this 2 hour crosses up, then I can't really say stock market crash at that moment. Even with all the signals of the daily chart cross down here, even with the potential for the dollar bottoming, right, with that crazy move to the downside. But we noticed that the daily trend, we're going to need some stuff going on here. And dollar likes to go up like this while the market goes and makes that new high, just like we did right over here. That was when that first trap was. So we still have some things that need to be wiggled out. But I would say that this is the great signal as well to watch, right? The 30-minute here. I am expecting possibly one more wave of volatility. And I think that came in for the Qs, but we're not necessarily seeing it for the SPY yet. So I'm really still looking for that 30-minute lower high, that 30-minute divergence that tells us that the 2 hour chart is able to cross down with this divergence. And if all that adds up, then we're squeezing here. So whoever came into the chat right away, I think it was Joseph, came in saying, I think we're going much higher. If you're able to figure your stuff out here, people can get this wrong again, and we can head up towards 720 is the probable area for February. That's crazy. We're in February. Gosh, times are just times are just crazy. Man, I lose track of days now with the baby and stuff, but I got a good night's sleep last last week. Yeah, it's good to see you guys. I'm very glad to be back. We had it was a much tougher pregnancy, so the live videos did have to go away for a while. I'm going to get our footing with the baby girl, and then we're going to possibly be doing those live streams again. So if anyone has questions today about the course or just questions about the overall market, questions about indicate any kind of question that you do have, I am willing to answer those. This morning I have about till 9:30 my time, so about an hour to an hour and a half to stay live here before I have to go help out again. So it's good to see you guys. It really is. I hope some of the OGs come back in the chat. That'd be a lot of fun. I probably shouldn't be chewing gum on this thing. I'm a noob streamer again, guys. I'm a noob streamer again. We could check out the other indices too. I think the Qs though, this move was a little bit bad this morning. This one right here is trying to come down really, really fast. The Qs positioning of the MACD is just rough. I actually think if the Qs show you something here, it would just be like, all right, we're gonna do this and this, or we're just gonna do this. Bam. But I think the problem here is, didn't we have like AMD earnings or and Amazon, and AMD shit the bed, didn't they? That was just negative 11. Man, minus 11. That's crazy. Marcus, welcome. We got the truckers here. Metal Fuser, that's what's up. Thank you for the welcoming back. I'm seeing a lot of stuff with NVIDIA. I haven't been able to pay the most attention to NVIDIA. I think a lot of people are probably drawing this up, right? This is probably, if I was looking at NVIDIA on a daily scale, and then I'm just going to go random. You guys know me and my ADHD. I just like to look at random stuff while I'm waiting for the SPY to do things. I'd do that. I'd probably be saying this. That's my guess. That is my guess of what people would be saying. That's definitely my guess there. Wonder what the weekly chart looks like. Yeah, it's not the prettiest. You do have the blip on the MACD, which for me means that divergence is there. So you do have divergence here. I don't know though. I think we might be heading into a rally for sell in May and go away actually. But I don't think I'd be bullish with this daily curled down. 2 hour pretty far away from the center line, sweeping a low. Interesting. You went positive. You didn't even go overbought, and then you just rolled as you made a new high. You might be sweeping a low and going higher. Nothing that tells you that's right now, though. Damn. It's crazy. So we'll see if volatility is able to give us a hint today. I will probably be able to post that. I don't think it'll happen this morning. The hint here, actually, I don't have to do that. I can flip over here. The hint here would be, well, if this fails, you still want to see kind of a lower high, but you could also see a lower high here. You could see a divergence. So that means for the SPY, you're very likely to see some kind of pull down. But remember, we have the 85% chance for an up day today and tomorrow. We'll see if we get that update today. But you could do something like this. You don't even have to beat that high. As long as you get those buyers strong, you can make a higher low. But I'd still be very cautious with the roll, especially as this is right by negative and it'd be a very tight divergence. If you get more of a lackluster day, then you'd really be paying attention to divergence, right? Sweeping lows, kind of something like this. We just build up a little bit over to here. Maybe by the end of today, you kind of roll down, then you scoop back up. That would be the two tricks and traps that I'd be looking for. Just because as long as the 2 hour is by the center line, you have to look for tricks and traps. If we do this, it's different, right? If we go, and you see this come down to like 670, maybe even 675, and then we're going to make that move back into the weekly by the end of the week, maybe, right? We dump off, then you come back in here, you're looking for that counter trend move, but then that's very likely to roll at that point. That's where you can actually say things like this. Now, we still do everything we do right in here to make sure that that's going to happen, but for now, that's how I'd see it breaking down. I don't really see like a major gap down. I really don't. I don't see a major gap down happening. And volatility is saying that this, what I just talked about, is low probability. UVXY wants to hit 23. I do like my UVXY. Any opinion on SMH? We can go look at SMH in a moment. We can look at IWM first. I did want to look at those indices. See, I like this. Like IWM. I actually was looking at this, I think it was on Monday, and I was like, well, this is a pretty strong move. You technically took back the last lower high, right? You see how we're kind of just like making these wonky little lower. Well, you kind of took that back. If you're able to carve this out, now this was risky, but this is what I'm saying the SPY can do. So you see the buyers, you really want to be like right here and you want to stop. But instead, you come down to the risky spot. You still make a higher low, but look at the sellers. Look at the sellers right in there. So this is what I'm saying, which is funky about the SPY. A lot of the time, those sellers would capitalize on that and you would roll. A lot of the time, you get up to here and you could roll. But because you didn't make the new low, you have to be aware you can really get up there. Now, the SPY is different from this, but this would suggest with the curl up on the MACD, with the technically higher low on the 30-minute, and you're close to the center line, you know what all this suggests? This suggests that 2 hour is going to get going. All right, now you don't necessarily have a good 2 hour higher low at this point. I wouldn't say you do. But this would suggest like risky people, like people who like a little bit of risk, but like cheap stuff and are probably good at risk management, like managing the position size. They would really like this. People like me, I actually really like things like this. I personally am really paying attention to the SPY right now. Actually, the two plays that we gave out on Patreon were both very good. I think the Apple play was good. That one made it. And then JP Morgan finally hit target yesterday. You had to, the decision-making areas are those weekly moves, but we can go over those in a moment. I try not to give too many plays because that's not what the Patreon and that's not what the channel's about. This is about learning and things like that. But overall, if I do post something, it's most likely because I'm thinking about taking it or I think it is a high probable setup. Those can still go wrong, but the last two were Apple and JP Morgan. Those went well. So 2 hours curling up here, you kind of have that rejection higher low. I'm not going to count that, but this does say that this daily, and this is where paying attention to things and having your knowledge is better. Because if you read into Twitter, they're all saying that the daily chart is suggesting that IWM is going to crash. That's just a lie. This is why I'm frustrated at the technical analysis I'm seeing online. If you do this and you completely wipe all of this out, you completely wipe anything out here, you wipe out anything going on here, you wipe out all of this, you just wiped it out. Look how high your MACD is, right? You can crash in things like this, but it's just very low probability, right? That's the game here. The game is never 100%. People really want technicals to be 100%. It's not. You have to put yourself in a high probable setup. And that's why we talk about things like divergence. That's why we use weekly expected move. It gives you a hard percentage. So IWM, I'm hearing people say, this is going to crash down to, I think it's like they're going to break this low at 230. Well, we just saw this move. That's one. We kind of do this like little 1, 2, 3 to pull back. We get a nice little triangle going. We break out. We go to the upside and we pull back again. I don't see any problem with this as far as price action goes. And then I don't see any problem as far as MACD goes. You could continue to sell off all the way down into this gap fill right here. As long as you just turn right back around. In fact, you can probably break this low. And still, if you're close to that center line, you could see a squeeze. That's just how it works. You don't have reversal signals. Now, if you did break that low, you'd watch for this, right? You'd watch for this. But right now, it's just like, this is a super positive trend on your MACD, super positive trend on your RSI. There is nothing with price action going wrong here. If you're really scared, you can check the weekly chart and see that there's like forms of flat divergences, but those didn't even take you over bought. Those didn't even take you over bought. So, and they're not significant. They're flat. Significant right here. Flat, if not even there. Actually, it's not even there. It's technically violated. So you could get a weekly pullback soon. You want to be aware of the springtime. The springtime, a lot of the time we do see some kind of disruption, like not necessarily like 2025, but yeah, very good stuff. 30-minute higher low. I love that I overcomplicated that for 15 minutes when it's just like 30-minute higher low. The 2-hour can go positive. Watch for rolling. Do your job. Hey, thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate that. We can look at SMH too. Let me check on DIA. See, DIA is doing the same thing. This is what I was IWM I checked on. DIA I was just laughing at because I was like, if the market's dumping off, I don't know. I don't know about that. Because that 30-minute confirming there is just saying, hey, this 2 hours is just going to keep going positive. You're about to get a potential breakout. The daily chart can curl up. Now, this is where you want to be cautious, right? Once you see a couple of curl ups of that daily and then you have the potential to make a divergence soon, you want to be like, okay, maybe I look at that monthly expected move and I start to go, I'm going to take my foot off the gas when we get there. We do give out the daily expected move for the DIA. Or I'm sorry, the monthly expected move, because that is where you can potentially set up those divergence points. Now, you do your homework on the 2-hour, but that's just a little hint for you. Once you do see like one move to the upside, you go, okay. 2 moves, you go, okay, I need to watch for that divergence, especially on a daily, especially. And then 3, okay, we got to curl up. We're going to go one more time. Okay, now here, I want to be very, very cautious. And weirdly enough, that's where you're at with the SPY. But the SPY already violated divergences. Missed your live stream. I missed you, be hearty. Hopefully we're gonna bring him back in 2026. We just need some time to get our footing there. Let's go over SMH real quick. Shaking my head. See the extension. Well, see, this is it. Okay. So you see the daily. You see this. This is where people have an argument. You have an argument here. You have an argument here. You have an argument right here that we can see a dump. You see a dump. But notice that when we take out that low, when we finally take out that low, you never get the roll. And even if you get the daily roll, you go and you do what? You make a slightly new high. So price action is telling you watch out for violation while the indicators are telling you triple divergence. Do you see the difference? So technicals are saying there's a triple divergence here. Boom, boom. And then and then you see that on the RSI as well, holding the line, held that point. So triple divergence here. This is why being a trader that looks in both directions and knows that nothing is 100% is good, because price action says opposite here. It says this is too strong of a move. You wanted a lower high here. Price action is suggesting that this can be a new high, and if you carve out that higher low, then you do not have any argument here that this divergence is going to play out. Okay? Here you do. It's fine to be like, I'm going to take that divergence play, but you better be able to react if this turns around, because rip your face off if you're still holding on to like month-long put positions. So you see how things can go wrong. But really just trading like water is the solution here, because all you did was you came down, right? You went up, you came down, you took care of a gap. I'm sure you could do fibs and stuff like that, right? I'm sure you could do fibs and things like that, right? It goes right into the golden pocket. Right in here, you see that golden pocket right there? It goes right into the golden pocket. That's kind of a lucky one. Usually it doesn't go right into the golden pocket. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I know that this one happened too, but but I didn't know that was going to happen, but that was pretty cool. That's where I look for, reactions. I treat them, anything that I'm looking at a level, I'm looking for things at that level. I'm not just saying I'm going to buy at that level, right? If I see a trend line like this and we go up to it and we come down to it, am I just going to buy at that trend line? No, if we go up to it, we come down to it, and I see a divergence there, then I will make a decision to buy at that trend line. And am I going to target the top of the range? No, I'm going to use my monthly expected moves, my weekly expected moves. So just some little, I just feel like talking about how I like to do things for a little bit. But thank you guys so much for the congratulations. Yeah, so SMH, what's going on right now is you just violated the reversal signal. The reversal signal was here. So can you continue to daily pullback? Yes, you can. Look at your MACD positioning here. The daily can just go all the way down to here if it wants to. So if you want to know when is this daily going to turn around, you got to use those skills from the full technical course. You got to go into the 2 hour. You got to start looking at this and going, these are some weird divergences here. Those are some weird divergences. Okay, no reversal for the 2 hour here. I was interested to see if the 2 hour could go one more time. It always can go one more time. That's what you always say. It can always go one more time. Now, you did break the previous 2 hour low. Most likely, you'd want to use these sellers. Very likely, if you want to roll here, you're doing the same thing as the SPY. You're saying there is potentially bad signals. Very wonky, because you notice you violated a couple. This one hasn't violated the main points, but throughout this, you've violated a few times. So very wonky signals. I would understand if someone was like, bearish for a little bit up in these levels. But what I would say is, if this 2 hour is going to turn around, where is it? It's really close to the center line, right? So if this is really close to the center line, then if this just crosses up, you always just say this in your head. You watch for rolls, have the plan for if it goes wrong. But pretty much, if this curls up that close to the center line, and I know it's kind of going to be a longevity in market. If it curls up down here, you want to watch for the lower high. But if it's able to do it right now, test the high, go make a new one. And I'm going to work on the monthly expected moves, weekly expected moves to get more of them for you guys if possible. Because I think things like SMH would be great, even though we have them for things like NVIDIA and AMD. We can go check if AMD went to a monthly expected move. But yeah, the main topic here is like, hey, if this is going to be bad, then this 2 hour can't curl up into positive territory, right? So what would you want to see here? Most likely you would want to see a 30-minute roll, and that roll to not create a divergence, a trap. So what you'd probably see here is, let's check a 5-minute real quick. Yeah, 5 minutes trying to go positive now. So you have the potential for this now. This is not a trade setup on the 5-minute. What you're looking for a trade setup for that 2 hour to say, hey, we're going to go test this high, go make a new one. It's going to be rough because you could squeeze, but you'd have to take out this level for the higher low scenario. That would be best. You can easily see the right shoulder that could have been. If you're looking for the roll, which is what more likely I would say it is a little bit more probable based on the positioning here, but you have to watch for something down in this area. If you roll, you want to come use those sellers right here. You really want to use those sellers, and you don't want the buying to be very strong here. You kind of want it to be slow, sluggish, and then you roll. And then right here, something key. So you would say, okay, maybe I'm short here on SMH because we're rolling. The 2 hour can go further negative. We can actually break through and see something ugly. The market isn't 100% saying, hey, we're going to see something ugly. You don't know the future. So what you have to do is say, I might be bearish right here, but I'm seriously watching right here any kind of divergence that's created. And if that confirms, that directly goes against my downward play and is actually a play that says the 2 hour is going to turn around. So what I like to do in these scenarios is I don't do a lot of 30-minute rolls. I'll do 2 hour rolls a lot of the time. I think there's more space, and the 30-minute can give you hints. But if I did this, I would say, okay, I'm short here. This pulls down. We make a new low. That's great. And then if I saw this confirm, I'd be out and I'd flip in the complete other direction if that 2 hour is still by the center line. That's just how I would do it. I really am pretty quick with it. I like to trade like water, but that's how I really look at it. Now, if you're too nervous, right? If you're not prepared for this setup, you don't have to take a play here. But if you see a divergence and you're shorting this way, and you see a divergence that says we're going to turn that way, that is a management for the trade. We talk about that in the course as well. So yeah, SMH, very, very fun one. Very fun one. But the daily chart says, hey, even if you do see something bad, you're probably just going to fill some gaps somewhere in these levels. How's everyone doing today? Think we can bounce with news at 10 a.m. I would seriously watch this metal fuser. Check this out. NEM, we can look at that too. Give me 1 second here. Let's look at let's go back over to the SPY for a second. Remember what we're watching for here. This is technically a roll, but it's really fast. Now, you don't want to mess around with this. Look at the 2 hours, what? Turned down in negative territory. What did we say in the video 2 days ago? If the 2 hour curls down, which it did right here, I don't want to be in calls, right? That's just obvious because the 2 hours curling down by the center line. In fact, the 30-minute curling down and able to go negative here, we wanted to wait for that reaction to the upside off of that daily expected move here. So this should just be, hey, I'm sitting on my hands. There's nothing to do here yet. But I'm going to give you two things to, or actually one main thing to watch today if we're going to see some kind of thing here. Remember at the beginning of this live stream even, I said based on the VIX, we should see one more little pop in volatility to get a lower high on the VIX on the 30-minute or a divergence. What do we see on the VIX? We see the 30-minute curling up right now. Look how a few minutes pass and we can go back and look. Now we see it. What do you want to see from the 30-minute here? When will I pull the trigger and start to target the monthly expected move? The monthly expected move being about 720, 719. When will I just start to reach out there and buy month out calls or something? Well, I would look for this to turn down. If this never turns, right now, bearish. The market can fall through the floor if it wants to right now. The daily is in positive territory for VIX. You can see that here. Daily's positive. Weekly's turning up, I believe, right? Weekly's turned up. This is ugly. This is a really bad signal. But we need to pay attention if it's some kind of freak out, some kind of little freak out. So what we're watching here is the daily or the 30-minute. If this is able to rotate down, then I'm bullish. If this is able to go up to here and then rotate down and give me that and give me this, I'm bullish. If it doesn't do those things, though, then I'm bearish. So if I'm really bearish here, I don't have, I personally don't want to take a bearish play here, but this is what you would say. If the 30 minutes curling up right now, then which direction is the market more likely to go? It's more likely to go down. All right? It's very likely to go down. So what you're watching for here is like, if you're taking the VIX play, you say, I'm going to buy calls on VIX, on UVXY, like someone was suggesting in the chat. Okay, cool. I'm going to buy those calls, but if I see that divergence confirm, I'm flipping the script, I'm going right back to bullish. If I see a lower high, I'm flipping the script, I'm going right back to bullish. Because the signals here, if you confirm this 30-minute, they coexist, they co-align with the 2 hour. And if the 2 hour is able to confirm down, which this is the hint for that, then you have a high probability the daily is confirming down, which means you're probably going to see like a rally into the sell in May and go away. Now, that's a possibility. Sometimes sell in May and go away. Sometimes it's before then. I don't like the terms a lot of the time. I like to just be like, when the market makes a signal, I react. Yeah. So I hope that was able to help you out there, Metal Fuser. This is what I'm really watching for the SPY. You can actually really see this from futures. I'll show you this. Okay, if you want to look at futures for VIX, this is great. The 2 hour is what I like for VIX here. Okay, look how different it looks in the futures. This is a lower high. So do you see if the 2 hour turns down, how much more bullish that becomes? You have a high, you have a low that broke all the lows, broke these lows, and then it reacts up. And if that fails, starts to make new lows, you know what's going to happen? The daily is going to cross down. We will pay attention for a higher low and things like that over the next few weeks. But this would suggest a daily downtrend move for now from volatility. So when you open it up to the futures here, it's really nice. I don't utilize this very often, but when crazy stuff happens over the weekend, that's when I really watch it. It will help you a little bit. Excuse me. Yeah, we're live again, just for a little bit. One, I wanted to test in case I can go live for Friday, and two, we have help today with our baby girl and our 2-year-old daughter who just had her birthday. So say happy birthday to her. Yeah, we had both of those things going on. Then my wife's birthday is in like 4 days. Then we have Valentine's Day like 4 days after that, or 6 days after that, whatever it is. So I'm gonna be suffering. So I got to hop on here and talk to you guys while I can. And by suffering, I mean, having fun with the girl. So I'm not really suffering. Oh yeah, she's cute. She sticks her tongue out all the time. Like, what's going on? Happy birthdays to the girls. Thank you. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why, but yeah, she's a lot different than our other one. My first daughter was only 5 pounds. She was not getting food from the placenta when she was in there, so we had to freak out and go to the hospital and get her out there. They had to monitor her for a few days. So this time around was a lot smoother, a lot bigger baby, and she just sticks her tongue out all the time. So cute. Very good insights. Okay, good, BN. Yeah, I know we're talking about family and stuff. Sometimes we like to take that sidetrack, but I hope you guys are getting something from it. I'm mainly just talking about stuff, guys, because I think the value in that course is really good. I really do think that, and if you didn't know this, I had my wife take the course before I sold it. I was like, if she can understand it better, if she can understand stocks better, she never watches it. If she can understand it better, then I know it's helpful. And she started to understand things better, and I was like, wow, okay. And then just email after email of how it helps. So if you have questions about it, but hey, we're giving a bunch of free info away today, all right? Some people want to look at Amazon. I just want to check if AMD is at the monthly expected move. I'm going to look at Apple and JP Morgan. Those trades were good. I really want to show you on my other charts. Maybe I just should. What was I looking at? Is Amazon? Well, first we're going to check AMD. Let's see where that's at. 206. Let's see if that's at a monthly move. Investing wise, you look at those. No, you still have deeper you could go here. 196.30. 196.30. Yeah, we never came into here. We never took care of that gap, but 196.30 is that move if you were wondering. You got a big move for this month. For the week, you're looking at 213. For the week, your second standard deviation for AMD is 189. So like 190 right in here. I'd be looking at that dotted line probably, but it says 189 is your second standard deviation. Cool. That's pretty fun. Apple holding up the market. Apple was one of our trades. Let's go check out Apple for just a brief moment. Now, Apple is a stock that I trade a ton. We were talking about the fact that we had 2-hour divergences on the RSI. We did not have them on the MACD, so we had to watch them carefully. But notice that the trade we talked about was just a potential new high here. And then you can see about getting back into the trade in this area with a 30-minute pullback. But this is great. The 2-hour never curled back down. You hit the weekly expected moves twice here. But the first time was enough for me. I took profit about 110%. So this is great. This just told you that this is turning around, and this should not stop. Even if Apple wants to pull back on the 2-hour chart, this thing should not stop. Apple is my most traded stock. It wasn't my most traded in 2025, actually, but Apple is a stock that I have traded the most in my whole trading history. Daily chart is going positive here. I would really look for 2-hour pullback probably soon, because you have this little 30-minute going on, but it doesn't have to happen. This isn't a reason to short. You look at the 2-hour, you see how high up that is, and you say the next time the 2-hour gets by that center line, I got to make a decision. That's really what it looks like. But I'm glad that we posted this and talked about this on Patreon. This was a great example. It was a riskier one because you didn't have it on the MACD exactly at the same time. But monitoring it closely, you had that one blip that we talked about in here where the 15-minute curled down, 15-minute curled back up, manage the trade, get back in, and boom, to the upside. Profitable right away. If you held on to runners for another week or so, boom, to the upside again. You should be rolling in it. Now let's look at JP Morgan as well. Actually, I'm going to show you JP Morgan on these charts right here. This is JP Morgan. This was the trade setup for JP Morgan, right? The 30-minute here giving you not really a good divergence, so you're kind of waiting for some kind of higher low. You get the higher low really close to the center line. We talked about this one going positive, able to break through these levels. Couple little scares in there. Right here, you hit the weekly expected move. I was only up about 60%, so I held on to it. And then I saw this dip down, almost shook me out, made me about break even. I said, I'm going to stick to it. That 30-minute is positive. We curled to the upside, and I actually got out right in the middle of this move right here. I just, I saw what the market was looking like. I saw volatility wanting to turn up, and I just said, I'll get out. I think I capitalized on only about 85%. But if I would have held on to that, it would have been worth a lot more. But this isn't to show you, hey, I win all the time. I have plenty of losers. Actually, in 2025, you can go look at our live streams, and I talk about JP Morgan. I literally had a big loss on a JP Morgan trade, which I let go of, and then it came back 2 weeks later. So that's where I talked a lot about patience. I was very impatient. But right now, JP Morgan is doing what? It's breaking through that weekly expected move. The 2-hour is getting overbought. This means that the next opportunity on JP Morgan, sorry about the dogs, is most likely a 2-hour pullback. As you are outside of the weekly expected move, you want to be cautious starting a position here. It is very likely that you will see this come back after beating that high and make the right shoulder that could have been. It doesn't have to be this deep. What you're looking for is this to get by that center line and curl up into positive territories. But I still would like to say, once again, this does not mean because I showed you 2 plays that worked out that I'm the best trader ever. That is definitely not the truth. I am just a higher percentage of wins than losses, and that's all you're going for. Risk management and being profitable and taking your profit at the right times, getting into positions at the right times. Pretty much it's this. Trading is literally just focusing on what you can control. You can't control the future, but you can control how much money you're willing to risk when you buy something, when you sell it. And that's mainly what you do as a trader, to be honest. Whoa, AMC getting a little pop there. I appreciate that, William. Hey, it's good to see you. Love seeing the baby girl, or the baby picture. Don't want to say girl because my 2-year-old still looks kind of boyish. She gets called a boy everywhere. Here for the dogs. Yeah, for Alan and Bruce. Oh, Bruce loves him some baby sniffs. Brucey boy. All right, let's go check on that market, though. Was there any stocks that you guys... Amazon. I saw someone say something about Amazon. I don't like this look initially. This looks exactly like the market. Tell me... Okay, take a screenshot of this and then go look at the SPY. Yeah, it's pretty screenshot. So Amazon's going to be probably means this. Apple, Amazon, and I think that move from AMD, pretty important for the market. But this tells you what? If Amazon turns up, that's a good thing. What is Amazon doing here? According to price action, you would say lower highs coming in, but it is going into great buyers, right? It's going into great buyers. It's taking care of a gap potentially. And whereas the 2-hour MACD, it's really close to that center line. So I don't know about that. I just think that you got to be paying attention if that 2-hour curls up. So what are you looking for in this area? Well, there's a 5-minute divergence that just popped up, which means this 30-minute is highly probable to turn around right now. If this 30-minute turns around, You blow through the sellers, watch out if you take back the 5-day, because you can do this. Bam. Now, you don't have to. If those sellers clamp down, then this can rotate in the downward direction. This would be technically bearish. Curls down. Bearish, bearish, bearish. If it keeps going, it's bearish, 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 right? All the way down to potentially that 230, this low right here, you start to be a little cautious. But if you roll here and you create a divergence point here in earnings, God, we're talking about this with earnings. Crap. Earnings, why do you ruin everything? Earnings, you guys, is these are still things that are very good to know. These are still things that can happen. But earnings is just a wrench, dude. Earnings I literally say this all the time. Earnings is a 50-50 flip. I think the signals for AMD suggested that we could turn to the upside, but it didn't. Earnings is something that the implied volatility is so high, and implied volatility is so elevated that the moves are huge. So if you take a position, one, it's going to be expensive to grab this position, but also if it does this first, it can theta burn you and then go that way, and you can break even. It's just a very difficult thing. Usually I do stay away from earnings. If I do like to say this because people like to play earnings. You can make money on it. People are better at it than me. That's perfectly fine. But what I like to say is I like to use a fun amount of money. I like to turn on the fun account, right? I like to put a couple $100 on an Apple earnings, or put a couple $100 on an AMD earnings, or something like that. I didn't do that. Very glad I didn't, because the signal suggested up. I think for that one it went down. But yeah, signals are something that you almost actually price action analysis would most likely be better than technical analysis when it comes to earnings. I'm pretty sure. It's just I stay away from it for the most part. I got 100. Who just said Tesla? Wait, I got 100 calls at 4:35 Expire Friday. On Friday though, that's rough. I actually like this look from Tesla a little bit. It's starting to get rough. I liked it at the beginning of the week. I was like, hey, if this kind of shakes out, that could be good. I actually really thought this was fun. But man, only having a few days to expiration is pretty rough here, because they're probably theta burning everyone into that expiration, and then they're going to actually let Tesla move. But right now, the 2-hour is turned down in negative territory. So that tells us that there is no reason to be overly bullish at this point, unless we see a risky reason that the 30-minute can tell us that this 2-hour is going to turn around. Wish me luck in pain currently. Hey, we're praying for you, all right, buddy? We don't like to see any kind of losers in there or anything like that, all right? We want you to manage positions and do what you got to do. Hopefully this wasn't a earnings play, though. Hopefully you can learn from me, who has lost plenty. You guys know about people have heard this. People know about my Zillow earnings fiasco, where I think I lost like, oh shit, what did I lose? I think I lost it was $6 to $8 grand in a matter of 20 minutes. It was the dumbest thing I ever did. And that's when I just went, that's when I was a cocky trader. Like I finally started to get good. I got cocky, and man, it smacked me. Okay. So yeah, Zillow earnings screwed me over back in the day. I thought I was the smartest, and that's what taught me what I'm telling you right now, and a couple other times, but this is what I'm teaching you now. Earnings is a risky business. You have high implied volatility. So even if you get it right, if there's a move in the opposite direction, or the move's not big enough off the earnings, like Tesla, I can look at the implied volatility. When was earnings? Oh, it was last Thursday. What was the date on that? Dang, okay. We can see if the IV was pretty high. Tesla always has high IV. Only 37. That's actually pretty low for Tesla. 43 for the month. So the fact that this has only moved to here and here, I believe the weekly expected move last week with that earnings was like here and here. So it's not a game that I like to play. This is how you think about it, right? Why do people count cards with blackjack? Because they can get an edge. Why would you trade without an edge, right? You kind of have to get the style down for what you understand in markets, what makes sense to you, and how you think about money, because we think about money differently. But what I like to just express is how I think about money, and I hope that it can help some people. So Tesla here, if the 2 hour is able to curl up, Hey, you'd say we're getting a little close to that center line, but it's getting risky. You're still getting the roll. Notice the roll. Notice the roll. This is the 30-minute roll here again. And you can even count it as a 2-hour. 30 minutes trying to pile up some little divergences here. So if the 30-minute curls up, you've got a shot at trying to beat this high by Friday. But I would just say that's a low. I bet you're in the boat that I was back in the day, where I'm still doing a week till expiration and things like that. But yeah, I've been doing 2 week to 8 week out plays for a long time now, and I've had just an I can't even express how much better success it's been, especially with weekly expected moves. So Tesla's going to be a rough one. That's going to be a risky one. That's maybe an investment level. This is the daily. Yeah, this is like an investment level potentially. That doesn't, I mean, you see the big extension. We wipe out that major divergence point, new trend. I could see it. Oh, you don't like that though. We still don't like that. And I'm sorry for I think I just burped like my daughter. Yeah, you don't like that. You gotta be cautious with it. I don't trade Tesla, 100%. By the way, I will say, I need to say that as I'm talking about it. That's actually very good. I need to say that. I used to say this during live shows when I break down Tesla. I watch Tesla. I think it's a very good indication of retail market, like the retail traders. I think it's a very good indication of that. And when you see rips and rallies and things like that, it's a great indication for if they're getting robbed. And their sentiment in the market is very much so a Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. At least a year ago, I do not trade this stock with options. I do not do that. This has high implied volatility always. Always. Okay. The average, I think, in 2025 for Tesla's implied volatility was like 45%. I think going into 2026 right now, the average is probably like 38%. That's still very elevated. If you take into consideration another stock at a similar price like Microsoft, yes, this has seen a dump off, which this is probably going to bounce soon. Yes, this has seen a dump off, but Microsoft normally has only like 16% implied volatility. Okay. So you can make money on moves better with a stock like this. Tesla, you're kind of saying every single time I take a trade, I need to see this. And if it doesn't do that, if it goes, then your options just die. You get theta burn. So I don't trade options with Tesla. I want to be very clear about that while I do talk about the stock and give analysis on it. Really listening here. Okay, good. Yeah, yeah. Extending those hours out is a great thing. There's probably a lot to it. You can always, you guys, that's why the course is down there. It's easier for me to express that. But if you have a direct question about it, about MACD, yeah, Dow transports and things like that. Oh gosh, what's that divergence looking like now, Lars? Oh gosh, let me pull up another one over here. I'll pull up another chart over here so I can look at that at the same time. That's that JP Morgan play. Wow. Could have held on to that bad boy a little longer. But hey, we just take our wins. AMC getting a little pop. Let's go to the charts here. Let's look for transport. The thing with the Dow transports, the signals aren't directly, as far as time goes. As far as time goes, yeah, I believe it's as far as time. Whoa. No, those are booming. Okay. Yeah. That's not one of my sell signals that I really pay attention to, by the way. A lot of people look at it's just booming. That thing's just GME going up. We can look at GME too. GME looked great. AMC looked like trash. Let me get through this. I'm kind of rusty here. Tesla is stressful. I like that. I made most of my money because of it and lost in the same stock. Exactly. It's a very bipolar stock. Get the Soxel for set. We did look at SMH. But Soxel is a 3x average leverage, right? Miss you too, Bernie. Thanks for saying hi. I'm gonna try to bring back live video at some point. It just might be like after some. It literally might be like later in the year. Yeah, transports are breaking out heavy though. I'm looking at it. Um, let's go over to Palantir. I haven't looked at I will be, I try to be as honest as possible here. I didn't look at okay, it had earnings. This is okay, this is a good example. This is earnings. This is earnings in a nutshell. So you could take this play, right? You could be like, I'm short with earnings, but this reaction, then that happens, could totally make your options worthless. You see what I'm saying? Luac? I'm gonna call you Luke because my name's Luke. My name's Lucas. But this is the type of things that can happen that can really ruin your option. Or you can do this. You can buy this before. You can see the reaction up and say, shit, this thing's going to squeeze, so I'm going to sell it. And then it comes back and you could have broke even. It's just, yeah, it's a rough business. Now, as far as the 2-hour chart goes here, we see all these little divergences on the RSI. Those are probably more 30-minute rejection divergences we see. And we just made a new low, but this thing is positive. This could be some trick and trap. What I like to do with earnings is I'll give it a couple of days, right? You probably heard me with the Apple play. I got rid of it before the earnings, right? That's why I sold Apple, even though it went up with earnings. I sold it before. By buying it before, I allowed those people to make their guesses and just increase my value. Whether it went up or not, my value increased, by the way, for the Apple play. Something like Palantir, though, looking at this, since I wasn't looking at it before, and there really weren't signals before that were very convincing, kind of have a divergence here and a divergence there, but it rolled. So that would be a management of the trade if you took it. See the 30-minute rolled by the 5. Well, I would be waiting. I would let this week and let this week's options trickle out. And then I would look for what's going on Monday and see if you're able to get like you beat this high, right? This is a significant level, obviously, and this is a significant level. So if we're able to beat that high, maybe even tear above, like see a tear here, I'd still be waiting for something that tells me that the 2-hour can go positive. So can we see more of this? And we see a divergence. Can we break to the upside and make that higher low and head to the upside, right? I'm looking for something, if I want to take an upside play, that this is going to go positive. That's the best way to put it for this. Because the 30 minutes positive, you just look at this. How are you going to make a decision with this kind of stuff going on? You make new high, you go down, you make too far low, your MACD's in the center. You have to let earnings milk itself out. And I would just say earnings after this expiration, I would start to actually look at Palantir and start to do some analysis on Monday, Tuesday. I don't know how many times Kev, you had a terrible trade ideas. Well, you don't want to be too caught, right? That's where, once you get your position size risk management down, it'll really, really help you a lot. Because for me, how we discuss it in the course is like, okay, 10K. Okay, how much do I want to use for options? 10%. Okay, but does that mean I'm betting $1,000 every single time? No, I would say I buy one contract, or maybe I only use $100. And this is starting with 10K. And then you can invest like 9 into like Target. Like we discussed Target. Look at that play. That thing's going well, isn't it? So this is how I like to do it. This is how I actually started out. This was the simplest way I could make it for myself. Nobody taught me this. I just really like to think for myself and what's best for how I understand money. This mitigated my risk down to $100. Now, if I saw a golden setup or I saw 4 reasons, this was my 3 reasons. If I saw 4 reasons, I could do 200. If I saw 5 reasons, I could up that to 300. And then if I, plus 50% that, hey, that's $150. We're just going. And then I have investments going on up there. So that's the basic way to at least give yourself some kind of risk management where you're not going to lose an amount of money that upsets you over the weekend or makes you lose a night's sleep. I truly believe you should never trade an amount of money that makes you lose a night's sleep or have an upsetting weekend. Okay, 112% profit. Okay. Dow's going to pull everything up. Yeah, we went over DIA earlier and said that was a sure sign, like, hey, this what's going to be the crash. So I know this channel told me a few YouTubers they like back when I was doing live stream. I actually marked those off and took some screenshots because I think you guys are watching some people who I think they have a lot of time to make multiple 30-minute videos throughout the day to be trading. That's how I would put it. But I'm not here to talk badly about people. I'm not going to name names, but I would just say be cautious of who you're watching. And if you can't trust this channel, I say the same thing. Make sure you trust the channel before you really start to take in the information and try to learn from it, okay? And if you think that this isn't helpful to you, I encourage you to go find somewhere where you can actually find something that helps your trading. I don't want to waste your time by any means. Let's see here. We can look at UNH. I actually haven't looked at UNH in a long time. Fair. Ooh, you're looking with earnings, aren't you? See, that's the earnings time. This is live video. This is why live video can be rough, because people always look with earnings. You'd look at a weekly. You'd be waiting. You would be waiting. Yeah, you see the lower high right here. You see this? This is great. This is a weekly roll. You probably got a daily divergence right there too, but we won't go into that. We'll just say this. Look at the weekly roll. Weekly cross down. Weekly goes up. Weekly fails to make new high. Weekly rolls into negative territory. That's crazy to see on a weekly, by the way. Crazy to see. What do we do? We go down to our previous zone. Notice this. I haven't looked at UNH probably since the last time I did live video and someone asked me about it. This is what I had up. It was some price action analysis. We see a daily divergence that tells you potentially that the weekly is going to get an uptrend move. If that weekly fails, it's going to fail right over here. Looks like daily lower high. You are coming down into those buyers. So this is when you start to pay attention as far as an investment goes. If this, for whatever reason, stops and turns around, your weekly is really close to the center line, you're back into a positive trend. So that's where investment can take place. The other thing would be if you come down to these levels and you curl up and you see a weekly divergence right here, investment's on the table. As far as a trade goes right now with UNH, you just had earnings. I'm going to tell you the same exact thing that I told you a moment ago with the other earnings. You got to wait for Palantir and these things to work those things out. They are going to milk as much as possible out, at least for the first expiration. I appreciate you being here, though, Bernie. Thank you guys for coming in and saying hi. Now, I did see someone talk about VIX saying, hey, that's going down. It's still in that wiggle room. It's still above that 9 on the 30. You're still there. So you're still working things out here. Best case is this happens. This is best case for me. I know that's crazy, but that is best case because this is where the options get the cheapest. Okay, this is why if you learn and really learn to trust and understand divergences and risk management, plan for if it goes wrong, those type of things, this is where the options get cheapest. Because do you know where people make the biggest bearish bets? They make them here. They make them here. They make them outside of the 95% zone, something that we directly tell Patreon all the time. Be careful making a play, starting a position outside of the 90. We say be careful outside of the weekly expected 68% zone, right? So the 95% zone is like you already saw the crazy thing. Now implied volatility is high, and they're just going to rip money away from people. Yeah, people make bearish bets down here. So if you start to turn around, then they go, let me dollar cost average, right? They do this. It goes like this. They go, oh yeah, we're crashing, and then we bounce. And then they go, oh, it's okay. We're gonna crash down now. I'm gonna dollar cost average. I'm gonna dollar cost average. I'm gonna dollar cost average. Shit. And then they're just done. It's a rough game, and I'm not making fun of those people. I'm telling you the mentality here. Instead, you could have just said, oh, that's going wrong. That's a divergence. I'm back to bullish. And if that fails, I'm back to bearish, right? Trading like water, it's fine, right? You're not a politician. That's what we used to say. We'd say, it's fine to be a flip-flopper as a trader. It's encouraged to be a flip-flopper as a trader. You can't really be a flip flop. Well, today in these days, you could be a flip flopper as a politician. Let's just be real. You can taco everything, you know. You can do whatever. Both sides can flip flop all the time, and they just take all of our tax money. It's fine. My call 18.25% IV today on SPY. Yeah, when I marked it off, I do like to make my ranges 30 minutes after the close. If you have figured out the calculation, I'm planning on putting a video for like $10 maybe on Patreon to show you, because it took me forever to set up, to show you how to set up a spreadsheet like mine, so you can make your own ranges in your own spreadsheet. I think that'd be really cool. For the week for the SPY, I have 14.6. For the day, I have about 17.95%. I like to do my calculations 30 minutes after the close, like directly on the 30-minute mark. What's my read on the US 100 right now, trying to bounce bullish divergence on the 30 minutes? So you might see it here. Here, you're trying to make that divergence in the post, in the what's it called, in the futures. So you're right to look at the US 100. Once again, even for the Qs, this is what you watch. If this fails and you see this 2-hour curl down, that's bullish. Okay. Now you have to watch for failures. Nothing's 100%. I always have to say that live. But if you want to look at the US 100, first of all, I always say this: the 2-hour is my 30-minute. So what do you see on the 2-hour right now? We see a divergence formed, not confirmed, right? We are not confirmed. Now you're probably looking deeper. You're looking at that 30-minute right now and you're going, ooh, 30-minute divergence. I think you're doing it right. I think you're looking at this perfectly right, the way you just said a divergence. Now, what you would say is this is a probable, or what you would say is a contrarian bullish divergence, is how I phrase it, just so you get, I want to say that for people in the chat who maybe haven't watched a lot of our live videos. This is called a bullish contrarian divergence, which means what? The trend right now is going down, but this is saying that there is going to be a contrarian signal saying the bullishness will start up soon. You still need to wipe out these people, but I think you're paying attention to the right thing, Probs. All right, I'll say it that way. No confirmation as of yet. You can be very patient. They like to leak these things out until the exact end of the day. Position sizing and things like that can be great. If you decide to do anything early, I know that people don't take confirmations all the time. I've been guilty of it in my past. So I'm going to say one thing here. You can always make the position bigger later, all right? If you're itching, you want to get into it, just know that if you get into this while the 2-hour is still curled down and rejecting right here, and you say, I'm going to take calls, just because there's a divergence form doesn't mean it has to confirm. So I would just suggest being like, hey, I'm just going to, I'll do a little position if I have to. Because then if I lose it, I'm not going to do what? I'm not going to ruin my weekend, ruin my my day. And my days are very important now. So yeah, just trying to give little tidbits here and there. Palantir, what a move. Gold, I think gold could do some interesting things here. Is gold done? Did we already get the boom surge? I thought gold was going to fall right here. It just violated divergence. It didn't, well, it never confirmed it. Remember we talked about gold. Never even confirmed with the price. Never even confirmed with the RSI. Just boomed. That 2-hour went a bit negative here, though. So weirdly enough, you have to watch for lower high from gold. That might be the top for gold. We'll see. I might eat my words, though. That doesn't mean I'm shorting it. So yeah, US 100, I like what's going on there. I just, you got to be patient. You got to be patient for the confirmations. And if you're not patient, which it happens to me too, guys, I'm not patient. I know I talk about patience a lot because I'm a very patient trader, but I'm so patient that sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm just going to finally at least buy one contract so I can get that itch off me. And then the next day I see it confirm and I buy like 5 more, 6 more, 9 more, Dude, my boy UVXY is too expensive right now. 37. Come on. Let's go look at the memers. Who wants to look at some memers? I'll look at memers right now. My outlook on QQQ is actually the same. Outpouring gates, what we did on the US 100 is very good for the QQQ. The QQQ is very good to follow still volatility. I know it doesn't track volatility. I know people are like, look at VXN or something like that. You still see the divergences. They're just violated near term. The timing of this is off. VIX has better timing. Let me make sure my wife's not hitting me up. I've got about 20 more minutes if anyone has any questions. I'm going to go over some memers for a bit. Yeah, outpouring. Sorry, I wanted to make sure to chat with you about that. But real quick breakdown. You're at the daily expected move. If the 2-hour curls up here, it's bullish. That's it. You can fail that move, so you watch for the 30-minute roll. But if the 2-hour confirms up right here, that's bullish. But if you see this before that, you got to watch out. See this into those sellers right there. Boom to the downside. Bad stuff. So you need a mega squeeze here to get the higher low. Still create divergences. I'll walk you through it in those YouTube videos. We'll do a Patreon update if I see a divergence or a higher low in this area. But squeezes on the table with that VIX signal. That's why I keep showing this off. That 2-hour curls down. 30-minute gets a reaction, curls down. It's rough business. All right. Let's see here. Let's go over the memers for a sec. AMC looked like garbage, but 30-minute looks a lot better for a 2-hour reaction. 2-hour looks not very good. Yeah, 2-hour looks a little rough. Like you still might need to make divergence there. Hey, daily has the you have daily divergence right now on AMC. All right. That's when I usually make a move, so. All right, daily divergence on AMC. Things are dirt cheap. AMC daily divergence. This can turn up weekly charts, and I know someone in the chat's going to be like, "It's a dirt stock." That's fine. You can play dirt stocks. It does not matter. We don't like. I don't love a company. I don't love any company. You get me? I love the Lord. I love my family. I don't love any company. I love all of you guys, right? I don't care about a company. I just want to make some money to maybe help my family and help those around me. I think that sounds great. All right. Weekly chart can curl up with the daily divergence right there. You saw what I thought would maybe happen for GME. Something like this. Risky signal here for GME on the 2-hour. 2-hour divergence right here. It's a dirt stock. Good. I hope I make money off it. You can literally play like $100 on it. And if it ever happens, I just want to say that I was a part of it. 2-hour divergence right there, 2-hour divergence right there. So there is risk of the daily chart pulling down here, maybe taking care of some gaps. There's a risk. Is it really doing what it needs to do, right? Divergence, you'd really like to see it break that low, then get the counter move and fail to make a divergence down here, right? You'd want that to roll and keep going lower if you want this daily to pull back. That's like truly how it works. But right now you're just getting the 30-minute reaction, and that's still by the center line, which means what? We're about to test this level. If we can break through and make that new high, you can squeeze, and then you're very likely to revisit that level. But the 30-minute breaking to the upside here is good for GME for now. We'll see if it's a good confirmation. Yeah, not a perfect confirmation yet, but definitely a confirmation. Yeah, 2-hour hasn't rotated down enough yet. Bullish divergence on the 30-minute. Yep. I think that's the right read. What's TLT been doing? Divergence on. Oh, let's look at. Okay, let's do this. Let's do ourselves a favor. Weird. Remember when we made that big macro video way back in the day, and we said that this was going to start to ramp up? We said that HGX was going to see a boom way back when we were doing like live video still. We were like, look, this is going to ramp up and see a boom. The 10-year is going to see a boom. And I think there was one other thing that we said would see a boom, and I can't remember. But they don't want this to happen. So something's gonna happen to take care of this soon. Something's going to happen to take care of that. But I think the housing sector is going to keep growing. There's the lines, actually. You see the lines we drew back in the day. Yep. So far, so good. I told you the housing's going to boom, and then it's going to probably bust in the next 2 years. We're already seeing price drops in the populated cities, which is the first usual signs, but it can take a long time. Morning from Oregon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You've got about 17 minutes, then it's my turn. Mama needs to go take care of herself for a little bit, you know? Man, you forget how difficult a newborn is, especially in that first week, 2 weeks. Man, you just forget. You're like, oh, I just can't wait to have, and then you're like, oh, I'm tired all the time. My wife let me get some good sleep last night, so I really appreciate that. So I can talk to you guys. Very, very kind of her. And you forget, and then you kind of come into it, and you're like, I know what I'm doing. It's fine. And then you forget that you have a 2-year-old. Oh gosh. Look at financials because JP Morgan's looking good. I did like financials here. I did look at this the other day. 2-hour divergence down at these levels. This means that financials are probably making a comeback. You do want to watch for the right shoulder that could have been right here. You can get a big reaction up and completely fail that move. Positioning of the MACD is suggesting that you need to watch for a lower high. Remember this, though, about banks. Maybe there is some kind of unemployment crisis, right? We've been talking about unemployment, or at least we were during a live video a lot of the time, because unemployment's what I like to watch. So we are on the verge of something bad, but remember, you always say they can leak it out as high as they want. The top 90%, well, the 90% of stocks is owned by 10% of people. So unless those guys are selling, you're not going to see big disruption. Yeah, financials here should see some kind of uptrend for a bit of time. Your indicators are suggesting, and price action itself is also suggesting by the daily chart here. Sorry for burping again. I don't know why I'm burping all the time. I'm saying watch out for that right shoulder that could have been. Can we look at Moo? Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah, Zared. If you're in college, can I show you something else first? Try to find plays like we suggested with Target. Okay, so this is the play that I suggested. There is I started accumulating right when we tapped that zone, and then right when we made the second divergence point, boom to the upside. We've been coasting. Very, very nice dividend money. This is the type of stock that I like. You can see, so look for these is what I'm saying. You can see that is Target at a discount. Yes, is it the right time right now? You'd have to do your analysis and things like that, but I'd look for things at extreme discounts. So that's the first thing I just wanted to say, and maybe something that gives you, I'm sorry, what? You want to buy this? Oh, Micron? Oh, we've looked at this. You want to buy this right now? Tell me what's going on, Zared. Tell me your mentality. Carranza was a person that used to bully me in college. We're friends now. He's a chill dude. MU, you want to buy this right now? I'm waiting to see what you're thinking. Oh, look at the monthly. I don't even think it has them. Short. Yeah, short. I mean, with MU, something like that, you probably could. Daily chart down. Still in a daily positive trend. 2-hour divergence. This is literally saying the daily is going to pull back. You're probably going to come take care of this gap. And if you really want to, make people shit their pants, you'd come to here. You really want to vomit? You go to there. I'm looking to put somewhere. Okay, MU is not the spot, dude. Like I can't tell you what to do with your finances. I don't have that licensing, but I can tell you about technical analysis. And when the monthly chart looks like that, here's the way to put it. Would you have made money here if you bought it? That's how you go. This is like to the max. This is probably going to blow off top. This is probably not going to see a new high, to be totally honest with you. It might. It always can. You know, you can do what you want to do with it, but I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole. I ain't touching that with a 20-foot pole. What's ones that you think are cheap right now, right? It's like Palantir just vomited, but that's probably got more to go. I mean, that's a monthly chart. Let's pull up a weekly. But like, look, the weekly is down by these areas. You could start to look at a Palantir. It depends on how long you want to hold. I think based on you wanting Micron, look at this on the monthly compared to Micron on the monthly. Which one do you think has more room to go up? You know what I'm saying? Just came across your channel this week. Love your content. Just subscribe. Hey, thank you, Barak. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. I always butcher people's names. Vomit happens after video earnings. I appreciate you subscribing though, and I hope that the videos continue to be helpful. I'm just getting at you because you're young. You're young. You have a lot of time. Look for those stocks. I like that Micron at least had dividends, I believe. But Target has dividends too. And if you think about this, try to think about things, especially from the investment standpoint. Try to do this early, as if you're in college, you're young. Try to think about things from a human perspective. Everyone online has been talking about a crash. Everyone online has been talking about a great reset. Everyone online has been talking about how bad things are gonna get. Everyone online has been talking about a bubble. Hey, thank you, Corey. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you guys for coming and saying hi. I'll read your messages in 1 second, okay? Yeah, we did add a couple new things, Jeff. Yeah, I'll try to make that more clear when we add some stuff. I don't think we've added stuff this year, but we did last year at the end of the year a little bit. So what I'm getting at here is if everyone sees pain coming, but the pain hasn't come yet, what things could be more valuable later that people aren't thinking about right now? You know what I'm saying? I feel you. I feel you. I hear you. But like Target is something that, if you think about it, people are always going to need food. People are always going to, it can extend for a long time, Carranza, and I'm going to call you Carranza because it's easier for me to say. But things like this, if you can get knowledgeable, at least at this type of critical thinking, like, hey, if everyone's unemployed, what's going to be the most demanded thing? Groceries, clothes, you know what I'm saying? That's what I thought about Target. That's actually what made me just click over to it one day, like 6 months ago, I think, when we shouted it out. I think we started to talk about it and analyze on it. We posted it to Patreon as an investment opportunity. And look at that. It's at an extreme discount. If bad things happen, people will still need groceries. Everyone hates Target stock. I didn't know that, but once I actually started to look at it, they hate it. So, yeah. We can look at Caterpillar. Exactly, Fritz. I do agree with you there. I don't remember. It's cat, right? Yeah. So yeah, these things, it's just too extended. You're not looking at bad names. It's just unfortunate with your timing, right? Weirdly enough, isn't right now, wouldn't like guaranteed money from a bank be better than like buying Caterpillar? Or at least you have a patience game. You're in a very positive trend. If Caterpillar does this and curls up, right? If you see this, you really want to be looking, as far as investments goes, at weekly charts and monthly charts that are crossing up down here and have room to grow. You don't really have room here. This can go and go and go, but you don't know the future with it. You'd rather do what? Look at the past. You have a good example here. Right here, you saw this vomit kind of moment. And if you were just like, hey, I like Caterpillar, I'm going to invest in it over time, then you would look for any moment that you curl up and even go positive. You can wait till you go positive, which is right about here. So around the 367 mark, you could just say, hey, we're going to go into a positive weekly trend. I'm going to hold until I see maybe a divergence or a lower high on the weekly. Well, guess what? Then even if you saw a lower high on the weekly, it would look something like this. And you would potentially be saying, I'll take it a little higher than that number. And you would say, the roll right here is where I get out. You would have made 52% in 2 years. That's better than all of your friends in all of their option trading. So I hope that in some way this is helping. The main point of this is these names that you're looking at are good, but they are at levels that I personally wouldn't touch them. It doesn't mean that they can't keep doing well and keep going up. Yeah. I understand you're new. Stick around, watch some videos. We talk about the shorter time frames a lot of the time during the week. We talk about the bigger ones over the weekend. I will try to maybe go over the target play or something like that over the weekend. That'd be very, very nice. No, it's great that you have an itch to learn. Just don't be giddy. And I say this a lot of the time to people in college, especially people who say they're very new to this. If you're new to basketball, you're not going to go play against LeBron in the first week, in the first month, in the first year, right? If you just learned how to shoot a basketball, even if you learned it, if you didn't even know how to shoot a basketball, would you want to go play against LeBron and get smashed? No, if you do it slowly over time, take your layups, things like that, that'll be better. It's just you can't go into it like awesome, Jonathan. Love to hear it. We can look at serve in a second. Yeah, it's just you can't go into this thinking, hey, even after you take my courses and stuff like that, you can't go into it thinking I know the information, so I'm going to be perfect now. It's not how it goes. You need time in the market, and by time in the market, in my case, I'm saying you need time trading to realize what decisions you make. It took me a long time to figure that out. See, like this? This is interesting. It's cheap. The weekly is turned down right now. That's not a good sign. But I would understand, like people, my friend, I have family friends that do this. They take about what do they take? They take like 50,000. They're rich, some of them. They take anywhere from 10,000 to 50,000, and then they'll break it up into 5 stocks, and they'll just buy, 10,000 of this, 10,000 of that, 10,000 of that. They would look at a stock like this and do that. I don't know enough about the stock, but I would say if this daily curls up, you got a positive trend going. If you can, you don't want to make new lows here, but the weekly is turning down. That's suggesting it's going to be a little bit rough. So you look at the earnings, negative, bad, blood, 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 blood. So this is where you have to do some more like some traditional analysis. You have to like look into the company. You have to actually look into the company, see if they're improving during the earnings, and things like that. You have to see their products, see if they make sense for what's coming, all kinds of things like that. Because this is very early on, you can see, and the earnings are all bloodbaths. It's fine for earnings to have bloodbaths, by the way, as long as behind the bloodbaths there's productivity. All right. Battle scared veterans started in 1970. Hey, Bruce, thanks for saying hi and thanks for saying good luck. I need all the luck in the world, bud. All right. So, yeah, this is going to be, you're going to really want to do, I don't think I would really touch options with this or anything. I'd really be doing my homework on like the company itself. You can look at filings, you can look at SEC filings. Let's see if we can pull some of those up because I've only got a couple of minutes left here, guys. Of course, the SEC filings I like to use won't load right now, but I would look at that. It's called Open Insider. I haven't looked at it in a minute, but yeah, if you know enough about the company and you see improvement, and I would say improvement based on your vision, not your bias in the company. Don't love the company. Be critical of the company. You're going to put money into it. Are they improving every earnings? If you see that as yes, and then you add a little bit of technicals with that to get good positions, then I think you're putting yourself in some sort of edge. Goes up after earnings. I don't really like to do earnings calls. I'm sorry, guys. I gave a bunch of earnings spiels already. I remember we used to do that during live video all the time. Everyone always wants to know, is this going up for earnings? I'm like, man, If Elon Musk was my best friend and he told me if the stock was going up with their earnings, I would tell you guys. You know, I would tell you guys. Yeah, this is why you be patient for the end of the day. We got to wait for that reaction. This is the signal to watch. But guys, this is where I have to hop off, unfortunately. Remember that the biggest signal that I think you want to watch for today, and keep in your brain actually, are two things. If the 2-hour curls up, that is not a bad thing for price. That is a bullish thing for price. Just remember that. And do we have any kind of signal suggesting that this 2-hour can curl up? It would be volatility. So if the 30-minute is able to rotate down, aka confirm down for this MACD right here into negative territory with a divergence or with a lower high, that would suggest the 2 hours curling down. The 2-hour has divergence as well, so that would suggest the daily's curling down. You see how it's a domino effect and how this 2-hour can confirm to the upside based on that VIX signal, okay? So I just wanted to point those things out at the end of the video. I hope you are having some fun out there. I hope if you are doing earnings plays, that you are paying attention to position size. You're not risking an amount of money that's going to ruin your night's sleep. I think that's a very good thing to always say during earnings. But it was very nice to come on here again. It felt good to just talk about stocks for a morning. You know, I really enjoyed talking about stocks with you guys every single morning. It's something that I really do enjoy. And I thank you guys for being here. And I thank you guys for all the support for the channel. Once again, when you like those videos, guys, and do those things, man, it's just to get to more retail people. It's just to show people like, hey, you can look at markets with a simple lens and use simple things and make educated decisions that put you in an edge. And I think that that's just a great time. Have a great, great rest of your day, guys. Trade like water. Keep that risk management in mind, and you'll be just fine. Watch that 2-hour for the SPY and watch that 30-minute for volatility. And maybe I'll be able to make an update video tonight for YouTube. Have a great one, guys. Peace out.